If there's one shift that changes everything about how we approach chronic symptoms, it's this. Healing is not something we do. It is something we allow. It is something we let happen. And this can sound so strange at first because our culture is built around fixing. If something's broken, we repair it. If something's missing, we replace it. If something's wrong, we intervene. And this mindset works well for machines, but it's far less effective when applied to living systems, especially the human body and psyche. Your body is not a machine. It is a living, intelligent, self-organizing system, just like an ecosystem. It has spent millions of years evolving the capacity to repair, regulate, and naturally rebalance itself without our interference. It knows how to heal, but for this natural intelligence to do its work, the right conditions must exist. And the most important condition of all is simply allowing, the art of non-interference, non-resistance, of creating space for the body to do what it always has known what to do. And I want here to touch upon this art of allowing. It's about learning to step out of the way so that the deeper intelligence of your system can just step in. It's about replacing control with trust, effort with presence, fixing with surrender and allowing. It's easy to forget that healing the body is a default state. If you cut your skin, it closes. If you break a bone, it mends. If you catch a virus, your immune system launches an elegant, coordinated response. All of this happens without conscious effort and interference. You don't have to tell your cells how to divide or your immune system how to work. It knows. And the same principle applies to emotional and nervous system healing. The body knows how to process emotions. It knows how to discharge survival energy. It knows how to return to balance after threat. These are ancient, inbuilt survival processes and mechanisms, the biological inheritance of countless generations of adaptation and evolution. The problem is not that the body has forgotten how to heal. The problem is that we keep interfering. We tense and brace against what is arising. We try and control our symptoms and how we feel. We fight the symptoms. We override the signals. And in doing so, we block the very intelligence that is trying to restore us. Allowing is the opposite of this interference. It is the conscious choice to stop resisting and fighting this process and instead work with it to support it. It is the recognition that 100% your body knows the way back to regulation, back to wholeness, and back to health. Your job is not to lead, but to listen. Why do we try so hard to fix ourselves? Well, because we're scared. Symptoms frighten us. Pain feels dangerous. Fatigue feels like failure. Dizziness feels like collapse. And fear tells us we must do something to fight, control, and correct. It's an automatic response because now we are dysregulated, which is a symptom of emotional repression. We're no longer getting accurate symptoms. So that impulse is normal, but actually we just need to allow it. The fixing mindset comes from fear. It says something is wrong, I must intervene, I must fix, and it sees the body as broken and the self as separate from the body. A kind of mechanic trying to repair a faulty machine. And so often you see these approaches to engineer, mimic responses to try and calm the nervous system, to soothe anxiety, to regulate. We don't need to do that. The body knows how to do it, and actually it's going to backfire in the long term because yes, we can get rid of symptoms, but symptoms are the very thing we need to allow. And the more we fight the symptoms, the more we soothe them, the more we try and fix them, the more we try and engineer a response that is more acceptable and feels more comfortable, the more the body perceives this as threat. And the nervous system senses danger not just from the original thing we buried, the emotion we couldn't feel then, but from our resistance to it. Every time you try and soothe anxiety or calm a dysregulated nervous system, it signals danger and it increases it After an initial cessation, it just reinforces the problem, which is why these methods seem to work and then they never stop. You'll be reliant upon them forever. And every time we do that, we interfere with the symptom, interfere with the system. Muscles will tighten because they're reading threat. Stress hormones rise in response to the threat, and protective patterns just reinforce and deepen. The system digs in. And paradoxically, fixing often strengthens the very patterns we're trying to change. It keeps the body in defense mode, and healing cannot fully unfold when we're in defense mode. Allowing is born from a very different place, not fear, but trust. It recognizes that your body is not broken, it's responding, it's adapting, and it's communicating. And beneath these responses is a deep, ancient intelligence that wants to restore balance, but we just can't see that because we only habit the conscious part of our mind, not the unconscious, which is the greater and more important part. So allowing does not mean giving up or doing nothing. It means choosing to meet what arises in the moment in our body with openness rather than resistance, choosing to stay in the body with these experiences. It means letting the sensations unfold without trying to change it, because what's trying to move through is an old energy. If we don't want it, stand back and let it move through. Don't try and calm it or soothe it or barter it back into the shadow. We want to create a sense of neutrality so we can let it pass bit by bit throughout the day, weeks and months. And this is just a natural process. This energy that's now coming through as symptoms is designed to go from A to C, and our experience is the B in between, and we just need to stand back. If we want it to go through, we need to stand back, otherwise it just goes back to A again, round and round and round, looping through consciousness, and this is the chronic pain cycle. So just standing back and allowing is how a cut heals. You allow the scab to form, the tissue to knit, you don't pick at it or try and speed it up. And in the same way, this is how emotional and nervous system completion unfolds and happens. You allow the body to complete cycles that were never finished over and over again, to release what was held in the body, the tissues and the nervous system, and then to integrate what was fragmented, clearing the backlog. So what does allowing look like? It's not a technique as such, it's a way of relating to your experience. It has quite a few qualities. One, it only happens in the present, staying with what is here, right now in the moment, just working in the present with what is appearing in the body, rather than escaping into distraction, into your head analysis or avoidance. Curiosity, approaching sensations and emotions with interest rather than judgment, seeing them as if they just are sensations, events happening in the body and the mind. And of course, non-interference, letting the body naturally process. It knows how to naturally to unfold this energy without trying to control or fix it. Do not feel the temptation to involve yourself with it. Let it move past you. And of course, we must be patient. Trust the body's timing. It will seem absolutely chaotic at times. You will have a blast of adrenaline, a huge increase of anxiety, a huge amplification of pain, then exhaustion, then calm, then round again. Don't even understand why. You don't have to. The sequencing is perfection. Just allow it within a schedule to do what it knows to do. It is the quickest and permanent way to heal. And it's not quick, but it is the quickest, because all these other methods you'll so often see are about managing symptoms, okay? And to be compassionate, meeting what arises with kindness, especially the difficult, most uncomfortable parts, because they're little versions of us, if you like. It's the part of you that couldn't cry when she was 6 or be scared when she was a younger child. And now you're saying, okay, we can feel it. We can finally feel the tail end of this thing that was started and suppressed back then, and then it switches off, its energy moves through, done. So in practice, this might mean sitting in a huge wave of sadness without trying to stop it. It might mean letting a body be full of pain and trembling, letting it shake and get full of adrenaline or heat without trying to manage it, experiencing a wave of panic pushing out of your nervous system, trying to discharge old survival energy. It might mean breathing shallow breath as you follow a surge of fear instead of suppressing it. Might mean noticing pain and asking, what are you trying to show me now? You can be here, I'm not going to resist you, rather than panicking or pushing it away or trying to calm it or soothe it. Allowing is simple, but it's not easy. It goes against much of what we've been taught, and yet it's absolutely the most powerful thing in the universe. And I'm going to do separate videos here in this particular section, the basics section, talking more about allowing, because this is the key skill here, as you've probably noticed by the title. So the nervous system needs permission, not pressure. It doesn't respond well to pressure. It doesn't respond well to control. It does not open under threat or forcing. It opens under permission. Think of a frightened animal hiding under a table. If you chase it, it retreats further. If you sit quietly and offer it your hand gently, it may eventually come to you. The nervous system is similar. If you push, force, or demand change, it will resist. If you offer space, safety, and patience, it will begin to release what it's been holding for all this time. And this is why allowing is so effective. It removes the pressure. It removes you having to do something in that way. I mean, even the concept of healing the nervous system is absurd, that it isn't broken, it doesn't need healing. It's working perfectly well. It's holding energy, waiting for you to make the space to let it move through when you give it the chance to allow it to do so. So when we start to allow, when we come back to our bodies and start to make the space around what we're experiencing, this signals it's safe now. You don't have to protect me from this anymore by rushing up into your head, being busy, distracting, going into any number of things to try and fix the sensation. And this signals safety. You're being with. The defensive soften, suppressed emotions eventually, not automatically. It sometimes, takes time for some people. They might just feel numbness to start with behind their symptoms, and then eventually the emotions will come through. It doesn't matter, it's just energy. It's irrelevant. It's you being with what's happening in your experience. Stuck energy is moving, that's the main thing, and as a result, integration is allowed to unfold as it's been trying to do, which is what it's been doing all along, giving you symptoms. So allowing is how we communicate safety at the deepest level, and safety is the soil in which all healing grows. The biology of allowing. This is not just a poetic language. It is biology. When you stop resisting and allow sensations to be, several important things happen in the body. The amygdala, the brain's alarm center, reduces its activity, actually shrinks in size, and it lowers the intensity of fear and protective responses. It re-tags what it thinks is or isn't dangerous or safe. The prefrontal cortex, the part of the brain involved in regulation and insight, becomes more active. It gets stronger, helping you integrate what arises. It helps you allow more. And the vagus nerve, as a result, a key player in parasympathetic nervous system, naturally will increase its tone. You don't have to make it do it by doing vagus nerve exercises. It will naturally do this as we allow, and it will shift the body more and more into a state of rest, repair, and digestion. And hormones like cortisol and adrenaline decrease as we come out of these survival states, reducing inflammation and the stress load. And of course, autoimmune diseases are particularly relevant here. The whole thing starts to diminish. Our emotional circuits are finally allowed to complete their arc, moving energy that was once frozen back into flow. In short, allowing actually changes your physiology. It transforms the body from a state of defense into a state of repair. And that is the state in which real healing occurs. Real healing I'm talking about. Not just getting superficially rid of symptoms that we don't like. And it's actually a very big distinction if you think about it. So, as I've alluded to, the most important aspect of allowing is letting emotions complete their natural cycles. As we explored earlier, emotions are not thoughts, they are physical events. They have a beginning, a peak, and an end. When they're interrupted, they remain incomplete, frozen, on pause, stored in the body, held in the nervous system as unfinished impulses, waiting to allow this to be completed. Allowing lets these impulses finish. If sadness arises, it means letting the tears come, because these are tears from years ago. They mean nothing. You just have to think, wow, great, I'm processing grief, rage, fear. You have to keep reminding yourself it's not relative to now. You don't have to fix it or resist it. This is old energy coming through because you couldn't feel these emotions years ago. And it sounds almost fantastical until you understand the science. But it's the truth. It's proven. If anger rises, it means really letting it be there, feeling the heat without going into the story, without having to deal with anything around you, to project it onto. If fear arises, just breathe up to it, become the space through which it moves. And if anything wants to express in your body, to shake, to groan, to gurgle, whatever, you let it do it. It knows how to move the energy around the system. And I'll be talking more about energy too. So it's not about reliving the past or digging into old wounds or making stuff happen or breathing it away or soothing it away. It's about giving the body what it never had at one time earlier in our history, the permission to feel safety now, to just move the life force around the body. And as these cycles complete, one by one, layer upon layer, hundreds of times, the body no longer needs to express them through emotions because it now has an outlet. The original channel is restored within which the emotion, the expression, goes up and out and through, completes its loop, its arc, and comes back. The unfinished business finishes, the frozen becomes fluid once more. Carl Jung observed that much of our suffering arises from the ego's attempt to control life. The ego, the centre of consciousness, this part of us who thinks we are this, I, wants certainty, order and control. It wants to do all the time. The deeper intelligence of you, though, what Jung called the self, the totality of who we are, the real authentic us, operates very differently. It seeks wholeness, not control, and it works through processes larger and older than the ego has any idea are even happening and cannot even grasp. The ego's instinct to illness is always to fix, to scroll, to manage, to understand, to analyse. The self's instinct is to naturally integrate, to feel and allow. And the ego sees the symptom as a mistake, the self sees it as a message. The ego tries to suppress it, the self allows it and listens to it in an embodied, wordless way. One of the hardest parts of allowing is trusting the body's timing. As I said, we want healing to happen quickly in a way that makes sense, that's linear. We want results, we want to feel better. We think we should, if we've been doing this for a couple of months, we should feel better. But the body works in a very different way, at its own schedule, not ours, at the pace of nature. It will release what is ready to release only when it is safe to do so. And you will have symptoms until this bucket is empty. But you'll be able to do more and more during this process, and you'll become better at allowing until suddenly you have glimpses, symptoms reduce, emotions come back online, and we start to re-regulate naturally. And this means there may be symptoms when nothing seems to happen at all, followed by sudden waves of sensation and unbearable emotion. There may be times when symptoms flare as old materials surface to integrate. There'll be cycles of progress, plateau, round and round and round. This is normal. It is the nature of organic changing and integration. Just as a plant grows in seasons, germination, growth, flowering, dormancy, so too does healing. And allowing means trusting these seasons, these cycles. It means recognizing that even apparent stillness is part of the process. Even the symptom itself is part of the allowing process. Often the symptom is not just a messenger, but a container, the body's way of holding what could not once be felt. Pain may be holding anger, fatigue may be holding grief, dizziness, fear. And when you stop fighting the symptom and just allow it, you create space for what's inside that container finally to emerge. And sometimes this means the symptom will intensify temporarily. Why? Because you've kind of opened the letter and you're now reading the message. So you're getting the thing that was denied. You're reading it when you were younger. And if you don't understand this, you'll think, oh my God, I'm getting worse. No, you're not. It's moving through. It's normal. And because the body's releasing this true energetic charge that is held within. Sometimes this message will change shape. Sometimes it will resolve entirely or come back. Whatever happens, it's part of the unfolding until it's done. And this is why flare-ups are a sign mostly of progress if you're in a schedule, not setback. They're evidence that the body is doing its work, that we are now allowing something that has been repressed and squashed and hidden back into consciousness to finish. So it will feel worse and then it will integrate. The message is being delivered, the energy is being released, and integration, inclusion and completion is underway. It's really important to understand that allowing is not passive. You're not just there going, oh, I'm allowing it, and nothing's happening. No, it's not doing nothing. It is an active neutrality, active participation with what's happening in the present. It takes great concentration and commitment and courage to stay neutrally with what is moving through, particularly if it's fear, if it's intense pain, intense discomfort. It requires staying power for moments at a time, and then as we get longer, we get better at it, our muscle increases for longer periods. We need to have the patience to trust the body's timing and awareness to notice what is arising and to realize when we've gone into our head and to get back into our body over and over again throughout the day with other specific dedicated times to just be in the body and allow it to do its thing with no distractions. In fact, allowing is much harder than fixing. This is why people don't choose it. This is why people will spend thousands and thousands of pounds doing fixing protocols rather than just letting the cut heal, so to speak. And fixing gives us the illusion of control. This is why it feels safer. Allowing asks us to surrender the illusion of control and trust something much deeper. But in this surrender lies our power, the power of aligning with the intelligence of life and nature itself. All of nature heals and grows through allowing. A river clears itself when blockages are removed. A wound closes when it's undisturbed. A forest regenerates when it's left to its own rhythms. The body is no different. It doesn't need us to force it to heal. It needs us to stop getting in its way. And this is what ancient traditions have always taught. In Buddhism, the highest state is not controlling the mind, but realizing there was really nothing there to control anyway, only awareness of that, and allowing all things to arise and pass. In Taoism, the principle of Wu Wei, effortless action, teaches that the deepest transformation happens when we stop striving and align with the flow of nature. Healing is the same. It happens when we stop trying to make it happen. It happens when we trust the body knows its way and we offer it presence, patience, and permission to do what it knows, how to do best. Healing is the body's natural default state. There is a blueprint, a default mechanism to heal. The body knows how to repair and regulate itself. It is a self-regulating system. Fixing comes mostly from fear. Efforts to control symptoms can reinforce defense states. Allowing comes from trust. It means creating space for the body's intelligence to unfold. The nervous system needs permission, not pressure, not calming, not soothing. Safety signals allow defenses to soften. And this simply making space for the body to do its work is all that is required, so that that charge can move through and out. The ego will always want to fix. The self always seeks wholeness. And allowing aligns you with the deeper intelligence of your system and your authentic self. Trust the body's timing. Healing unfolds in cycles and seasons, not in straight lines, round and round again, over and over, peaks and troughs, increases in sensation and not, all to be done within, as the last video detailed, a schedule routine. That way you stay sane and you keep the safety constant, even on your worst days. Healing is not something you do to your body. It is something your body does when you create the conditions for it to just happen. Your job is not to push, but to listen, to allow, not to force, but to trust, not to fix, but simply surrender. And when you do, you will find that the healing you were striving for was never something you had to create. It was something that was always trying to happen, and you just didn't realize it. And it's just been waiting for the moment you stopped resisting and simply let it.